Rahim. Today we are going to continue with the principles of Romanticism, inshallah. Last time we talked about introduction to Romanticism as well as the factors of emergence of Romanticism. What we are going to do today, we will start explaining the principles of Romanticism, the type of thinking and thought. We are going to start with a form of a discussion, right, and a kind of a reaction, which shows a little bit of romantic thinking. What I'm going to show you some pictures. I'll put off the light, and I'll show you some pictures, and you are going to respond to me. How do you feel, right, when you see these pictures, right? Well, fine. This is the first one. Put the lights off, all the lights, please. Would you put the lights off there? Good. Yeah. What do you think of this picture? Yes, please.
I think that it reflects the beauty of nature and of isolation to sit by yourself alone.
I want you to talk about yourself. How would you feel to be in such a place?
I feel comfortable and relaxed from inside.
Would you like to be there alone?
Yeah.
Alone.
Yes.
Oh, wow, mashallah. Good. You won't feel afraid at all?
No.
Right? Okay. I mean, the sense that we can find in this picture. What kind of a sense that we find? Yes, please, Lama. It makes you feel down. Why?
It's really gloomy. Nature in here is gloomy and black, and like as if it's like a blot and serious.
You don't find any beauty in such a picture?
It is beautiful, but it's gloomy, and it makes me peaceful, but a little bit depressed.
Do you think what is the time in the picture?
Probably dawn, dusk.
Right.
The sun is gonna rise in a little bit.
Right.
Or it already set.
Okay. Someone else? Yes, please.
Well, it makes me feel peace. Like I want to go there and be isolated from the whole world.
Right. Okay. So, I mean, would you feel, all right, would you like to be in a solitary state? I mean, not in a company with someone else?
Yes. Yeah. For a while, I would like.
Right. Yes. Yes, please.
Let me feel like an internal peace, calmness, purity.
Right. What do you think of the fog here, right? And the forest, the dark forest, right? Does it give you a sense of awe?
Yes.
Right?
It makes me afraid.
Right. Yeah, it is beautiful. It is extremely beautiful, right? And anyone who says that it is not beautiful, they need to reconsider, right? It is beautiful. But at the same time, it gives me a sense of awe. What do I mean by awe, right? Oh, I mean that a little bit afraid, right? Yeah, not frightening, not scary, but just an awe, right? A sense of awe. Why? Because I don't know what is there in that forest. Because of the fog, because of the mystery, right? In other words, right? I might not be comfortable if I were there alone, right? But in a company, it might be enjoying. It might be enjoying, right? Another sense that is going to come to my mind, which is a sense of wonder, all right? Wondering here, it means asking questions. What might be there? What might I encounter when something comes out of what, right? Of the forest. I ask myself, how do I feel? Do I feel comfortable or not comfortable? Series of questions that come to my mind. This is how I feel, right? The same happens here. Look at this one, right? What do you think of this picture, right? Yeah. Yes, please.
I would sit there and cry.
Why? Cry. Right? Do you wish that we have such scenes in our country here, right, to enjoy them?
It makes you feel at peace, but at the same time, it's like if you want to be alone, if I want to be alone, I would go there. If I'm just like sick of the world, I would go there.
Right. Good. Right. Something else. Yes, please.
Yeah, this scene, like, it purifies me from the emotional tension. I hope to be like there one day because these natural scenes indicate the strength of Allah. I mean, I would gaze up everything, every tree, like the sky, like everything. So it indicates the strength of Allah.
Right. Good. Right. Tell me at the same time, right? Do you find this picture beautiful or not?
Yeah.
Would you appreciate the beauty inside there?
Yes.
Right. Okay. This is the first thing that let's agree on one thing, that it is beautiful, natural scene, exquisite, right? Sense of beauty that comes, appreciation of beauty that whenever you encounter it. Yes, please.
No, I just want to comment
Yeah.
the question that before.
Yeah.
The place, if you are lonely in this place and you keep looking to the nature, that will give you a feeling that there's something beautiful in the life that you have to live with it, which is nature.
Yeah.
It's the source of being happy, of being pessimistic and other.
Right. So would you love to?
Yeah.
All right. For how long?
Yeah, a lot.
For how long?
For how long? Maybe 1 week.
1 week.
Yeah, but of course, with the.
I mean, in such nature, far away from the city, far away from your laptop, far away from your cell phone. For how long?
I think 1 week it's really an amazing thing because in Gaza we live a lot bad actions in Gaza. So 1 week it's
Good. It means that you wouldn't prefer, right, living there forever.
no, forever no. There's
Why?
no life
So
there.
you are not romantic, sister, right? You're not romantic at all. Yes,
I
please.
would live there forever, but with my family around me.
Your family and your laptop, cell phone, right? No Wi-Fi. Oh. Right. Right. Well, so these pictures, right, I brought them in order to share you my ideas. The first thing that came to my mind, that they are beautiful, right? I appreciate it. It gives me a sense of wonder, asking questions about who, right, might be there, who passed and witnessed this scene before me, who is the ultimate Allah, power of Allah that created such beauty, right? Okay, would I love to stay there forever or not? Many questions that come to my mind, a sense of what? Of wonder, right? So first, the first feeling is what? All right, a sense of wonder. Also, I won't be comfortable 100%. I will have, right, a sense of awe, right, as well as the third feeling, which is the appreciation of beauty. And this is the dominant atmosphere of Romanticism. The first principle of Romanticism is this, right? What I say, this one, right? The subtle sense of mystery. The subtle sense. So the first factor and the first, right, belief of Romantics, that they believed in the subtle sense of mystery. And what do we mean by the subtle? The grand, right? And what do we mean by mystery here? We need to explain the word mystery, right? And the word mystery, right, it is a complex feeling of awe. Of what? Awe of what? In the presence of the unknown. Awe because of the things that I don't know. And a sense of wonder about the things that I know, right? So we have two feelings. The first one, awe, wonder, and we will come to the third one. We will come to the third one, which is an exquisite response to the manifestations of beauty, right? So the sense of mystery, right, is the dominant atmosphere of the romantic poetry, right? And when I say here, right, sense of mystery, what do I mean? That you will always find the romantic poetry either characterized by a sense of awe or a sense of wonder or, right, the appreciation of beauty, or maybe the three together. Or maybe the three together. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. So you will always find in the romantic poetry either right, appreciation of beauty, or maybe asking many questions, wondering, or there is a sense of awe and mystery. Awe and mystery. Well, right? And the three of them combined together, we call them rapture. We call them what? Rapture. Right? So, romantic poetry is characterized by rapture. Right? So the first thing that we notice, something we feel when we read the romantic poetry, we feel these three feelings. Either it is dominant by awe, or wonder, or by appreciation of beauty. Right? At the same time, there is something else that I would like you, right, to notice. I don't know whether you are familiar with the movies about the old English history. Yeah. I don't know. Have you seen any movies about King Arthur, for example?
No, I read the story.
Right, but the movies. Have you seen the movie?
No.
Right? Yeah. All right. Merlin, King Arthur, right? Any movie. All right. Have you seen a movie which is actually famous? It was produced in 2006, right? Which is Braveheart for Mel Gibson. Have you seen Braveheart? Are you familiar with this? If you see the movie, right, which goes back, right, to the early stages of the English history and Scottish history, you will find that the atmosphere itself is mysterious, right? Exactly like the picture that I just shown to you, right? That, right, fog, right, dark, cloudy, right? The ground is green, right? And right, this is what we call it, right? A medieval atmosphere. A medieval. What do you mean by a medieval atmosphere? Right, the atmosphere that we imagine about the medieval times, right? Like the times before of King Arthur, or like the movie of what? Of I told you, right, Braveheart for Mel Gibson, right? And therefore, right, this atmosphere, right, because we don't know a lot about it, right? So it is mysterious to us, right? The things that which we don't know about, so it is, right, there is a kind of mysticism, right? Mystery, a sense of forests which are dark that need to be discovered. Maybe a magical powers like the power of Merlin, the one that you just mentioned right now, right? Maybe, right?
Supernature.
Right, supernatural features, thinking, superstitious thinking, believing in powers, supernatural powers. So all this, right, it was one of the major things that we might find in the romantic poetry, especially their focus on the supernatural element. So, yes?
Can we say that this idea is near to the Gothic idea? Because the Gothic is,
all right, it was developed later, right, actually as a kind of scary, right, scary literature, right, yeah, which is part of this, the Gothic literature, which involves, right, okay, scary literature into big high buildings, dark, right, cathedrals, things like that, yeah, right, but we are talking about the general atmosphere of romantic poetry in general. It is either characterized by sense of awe, sense of wonder, or maybe, right, appreciation of beauty, all right, or maybe, right, mysticism, right, the supernatural, right, in their philosophy and in the medievalism, or that sometimes you find that their poetry is rooted in medievalism, right? Well, now we will move to another two pictures. انتبه LCD. Right? Put the lights off. Right. Have a look at this picture. What do you see? Yes, please.
I see the simple life without machines, without villages. It's a simple life. It reflects.
What kind of a life is this? The life of whom?
Of countryside.
In the countryside? all right, of peasants, of simple people, of common men, right, and their life. Do you find it interesting? Yes. Would you like to be there and work with them? No. No or yes? Yes. Why no? And why yes?
When I first looked at this picture,
It's beautiful, right? Just to watch it.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I like the only thing I know about working class, like in the medieval era, is that
This is not medieval era. Just think of your grandparents. Your grandparents lived this life, right?
no, I would never like to
Right.
live such.
Yeah, but do you find the scene beautiful or not? The nature, right? The brook or the small river here. People are working. They are harvesting. All right. Do you think the people are good or bad in the picture? Why? All right. And anyone works as as a farmer is good. Why? This is an idea which is villagers are right better than the people living in the city. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Sometimes yes and sometimes no.
Right. This is an answer of someone who doesn't want to give an answer. Right? Yeah. Yes, Lama.
They haven't been experienced the roughness of the city.
Excellent. The complication of the
They
civilization.
are not corrupted, right? Like we are pure innocence. They far away from the corruption of a human being.
All right. Far away from the corruption of a human being. Thank you. Anyone else? Right. Yes, please.
I wouldn't like to live this life because I love the electronic life and the things.
All right. So you wouldn't like to be there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, but have a look, right, at the scene as a whole, right? The mountain, the trees, the ground, which is golden ground. Why it is golden? Because of the harvesting. You have here a brook, people collaborating as one unity, right? As if they care about each other and they care for each other, right? This is a kind of reflecting the simplicities of life. To go far away from the complication of our daily life in the city. In the city, right? I would love to be there. Just watching. But not working. Right. So another important element, right, is this, right, which is the elemental simplicities of life. Look at this picture. This is a famous painting. What do they do? What do they do, sister? The people in front of you. What do they? Working. What kind of work?
Removing the metals from the road.
This is a famous painting, for God's sake. It is called Potato Harvesters. Right? Right? This is harvesting the potatoes. Right? But we usually do that in winter. We usually do that in what? In winter. Right? So it is the same type of work. Simple people working in harvesting. Right? But this kind of harvesting is in a different season. Right? The first picture or the previous picture, this one, which season is this?
Spring.
Right? Is this spring? Right? Yeah. Well, this one is in winter. Both of them are appealing, right? But the first one is much more appealing than the second one. But the type of the people, they are the same, right? Okay, people, whenever you sit with them, you feel comfortable to talk. You feel that, right? You don't have barriers. You don't need to break the walls of ice, right? Whenever you talk to them, you talk from the bottom of your heart, right? I don't know, right? Some people might not have share me the same idea, but this is how I feel. How I feel. I feel that they are, right, simpler than myself, at least, right? Am I romantic? No, I'm not. Well, okay, so the second principle, that the poetry of romantics reflects the elemental simplicities of life. What do we mean by the elemental simplicities of life? The simple elements of life. It reflects like what? Like what? Right? By one going back to nature. Right? Where we belong. To go where we belong. We belong to nature. The simple nature. Right? Also, right, they also idealized childhood. And what do we mean by idealizing childhood? We mean that, right, idealizing the state of innocence. Idealizing the state of innocence and, right, purity. Yeah. As natural as possible. Not to be, right, living the state of experience. Experience which is, right, making, not corruption. I don't like the usage of the word corruption, but makes us complex. Not easy to understand.
Yes.
Not easy to understand. Just try to, and you experience this. Talk to a child, and you will discover how enjoying it is to talk to a little child who is or she is speaking what, right? Yani, from the bottom of their hearts, right? Without putting the rules of the grown-ups, right? Without even, spontaneity of the innocence, the spontaneity of innocence. And this is kind of what the simplicities of life. So these are the major topics of what? Of the romantic poetry. They are no longer care, they no longer care about tragedy, right? And tragic hero, and how should, right, generate pity and fear, or to generate catharsis. No, they rejected everything, right? Make life easy. Make life easy. Another thing, they found inspiration in the simple elements. Things they started to write, right, about things which are very, very simple. They were not used as subject matter for poetry before them. I mean, the poetry before the Romantics, as I told you, it was about, right, courtiers, the life in court, the people, right, in the upper class, right? But they never talked about simple things like this. For example, an ordinary sunset, right? That the subject matter, it became the ordinary sunset. It became a subject matter for poetry. A long poem, right? Okay, but before it was not used. Or a walk over the hills, right? Very simple things which reflect this simplicity. Or maybe a cluster of spring flowers, right? It became a subject matter for what? For their own poetry. Another example, a rain-bearing west wind, right? Singing for the west wind. And the type of poetry that they used to write mostly is called ode. It's called O-D-E, not O-double-D. It is O-D-E. And what is this type of poetry? The ode of poetry. We call it, right, poetry of celebration. We call it poetry of celebration. That if we would like to celebrate something that we are happy about, right, we write ode, right? So most of the romantic poetry, right, it was a form of ode, O-D-E. So you will find they used to write ode to west wind, ode, as if they are celebrating the coming of the west. Who cares about the west wind now? No one cares about, right, the west wind or the east wind, right? But they consider these simple elements as something that deserves celebration. Something that deserves celebration, right? Something deserves to be enjoyed, right? And something deserves to wait for. Something deserves to wait for. And this is what is the reason behind their own simplicity, right? Or maybe a song of a nightingale, right? A song of a bird. They will write a long poem, long poem, right? About what? A song of a bird. Would you do that? Would you do that? Right? If I ask you, right, if you would like to write poetry about, what are the most common topics that you would like to write about? You yourself. Yeah.
Enthusiasm or being hopeful in life, like rejecting the hardships and come over it.
Good? Yes? Occupation.
Praising my mother.
Praising your mother. Yes?
The sea.
The sea. Right. Give me more details. What do you mean by the sea? Now you are showing that you are romantic. I got you.
If you go to the sea and have like, you can just, all your troubles, you can just throw it into the sea, and just like how it's so big and wide and you can't see the other end of it, and like mysterious world.
Do you remember when I told you about the Arab romantic person, Manfaluti? Right? He has a very famous writing about the sea. Are you ready?
I'm preparing.
Preparing?
Yeah.
So, right, he was in one of the nice novels that he translated. It is called Ash-Sha'ir, right? That the speaker is a very romantic person, right? And he is talking to the poet in front of the sea in a form of a poetic language. So what does he say, right? أنت شاعر يا مولاي وقلب الشاعر مرآة تتراءى فيها صور الكائنات صغيرها وكبيرها عظيمها وجليلها ما صغر منها وما كبر فيها فإن أردت السعادة فانظر في أعماق قلبك فقلبك هو البحر الذي. You see? Right? He's very romantic in a sense. He's not only describing the sea, but he's describing himself through the sea. And this is what we call it subjectivity of nature, right? This is what we call it subjectivity of the poet. And here, when they find, right, the simple elements, they don't talk about, right, the ordinary sunset, but they usually talk about how do they feel in the ordinary sunset. They never talk about the walk of, but they talk about their own feelings, how they feel, right? And this is the most important thing. They don't describe the outside appearances of nature. They would never talk about the sea, but they talk about themselves through the sea. Do you understand what I mean? And when they talk about the song of a nightingale, it is not only the nightingale, but the song, it makes them feel, right? And they reflect their own feelings through the song. And this is what we call it subjectivity of Romanticism, the individualism, right? Which is one of the most important qualities of the Romantic poetry. Yes, please.
You know, like nowadays, a lot of poets see themselves in this type of writing, or in the principles of the Romantic era. Like, I heard a lot of poems. If you're familiar with the button poetry, they just try to describe themselves and talk about their feelings, to express their feelings. So I believe that they are actually following the principles of this era, because it's like the only this type of writing is the only type that lets you express yourself and like.
Good, but I mean I wouldn't call them romantics. Why? Because Romanticism is not only subjectivity.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I mean? But the most principles, which is to reflect the subjectivity of the poet himself, which is the most important element to me, at least. All right? Why should I describe something that I can snap by my cell phone? Do you understand what I mean? Right? When we say, all right, describe the beauty. Why should I describe the outside beauty? I can take a picture for it. Do you understand what I mean? I should describe how I feel in such a beauty.
How the picture affects me.
Right. I got a sign from Abu Hamza telling me that we are supposed to finish. Right? Yeah, and we have to stop here and we continue next time, inshallah.